And just like that, City are through to the FA Cup final for the second year in a row. And wow, what game? What game that was. Not on a, whoa, that was a very exciting game, but it was a very interesting game. And it showed exactly what City's season has been about. If you had to speak about City's season and sum it up in one game, it would have been that game yesterday. But before we get into that, let's look at a few other things. I made a few notes from the game because it's always good to come prepared. But before we get into that, please like the video if you enjoy. Comment down below who you think is going to win the FA Cup, and also who you think is going to win the Premier League. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Especially if you're new around here, subscribe to the channel. The goal is 300 subscribers by the end of the year. I think we're like 21 subscribers off that as a time of recording. So yeah, that would be great. It's definitely doable. And also, if you're new around here, check out the rest of the videos on the channel. If you enjoyed this one, you'll definitely enjoy those ones. But yeah, let's look at some of the notes that I took from yesterday's game. I think the first thing I noticed was Cole Palmer. I think he needs a rest. He did not look good yesterday from a fitness standpoint. It was pointed out on commentary at the start. He looked like he was struggling. He wasn't moving very well with an injury. I think it was a hamstring injury potentially. I can't remember it exactly. And then I picked up on that throughout the game. He looked quite leggy. He looked tired, and he definitely needs a rest. And he does look at risk of injury. And obviously, at Chelsea, they don't have the greatest medical team. So once you get one injury, you get roped into a cycle of injury after injury after injury after injury. So that's one thing to obviously keep in mind with Palmer at the moment. But the main issue of that is now, with them being out of the FA Cup and not being able to go to the final, they have to win all of their games, or have to win a good majority of their games to get Europe next season, which means they can't drop Palmer because he's their best player. And if they want wins, then a lot of it's going to come through him. But at the same time, I don't think he can play all of those games because he doesn't look fit enough. And that's, again, not a knock on him. This is his first full season, and he's basically being made to play every minute of every game, or every game at least. And it's not sustainable for him. He definitely does need a rest. I think people do forget that this is his first season properly playing first team football, and yeah, I think his form this season is a bit of a blessing and a curse, because he's not able to get the rest that he needs while still developing, because he's their most important player. So it's not all sunshine and rainbows for him, and Chelsea definitely do need to look to address those issues in the summer, if they can anyway. Obviously, there's a lot of talk whether they're going to be able to make any transfers or not, so that's the one thing to keep an eye on. And obviously, with me saying I don't think he looked the best, you might be like, oh, who was Chelsea's best player then? And this might be a bit of a hot take, and this might sound stupid, but hear me out. I think Jackson was Chelsea's best player yesterday. Jackson was definitely Chelsea's best player yesterday. Take away his final third play, because yes, he was atrocious in the box, and he definitely should have scored and been taking his chances a lot better. But any time in transition, he was pressed up against our back line. Any time they cleared the ball, Jackson was there to get the ball. He was causing Stones problems, Diaz problems, Akanji problems, Ake problems. He was causing them all problems because he's up there. He's tussling for the ball. He's driving at them to lead a counter-attack. He's playing balls out wide to Palmer, to Gusto, to Madueke. He's getting the attacks going, and if it wasn't for his poor finishing, obviously he had the chance where he went round Ortega. I think he definitely could have got a shot off. Might not have went in, might have hit the side netting, but it's better to take the opportunity there than not. Then there was when he got played in behind Walker, who I didn't think had a good game yesterday. I think he looked like he was running in quicksand for a lot of it, and again, that might be due to the amount of football we've played recently. But yeah, he looked like he was running in quicksand. Players were getting the better of him a lot. He was giving away stupid fouls, especially that one on Mudryk at the end. But anyway, back to Jackson. Yeah, he gets played in behind Walker, plays a nice little shot to try place it under Ortega, hits it too lightly. It's a very, very tame shot, and it's a good save from Ortega, but at the same time, it's also a comfortable save. And then the cross comes back in, he heads it straight out Ortega, and with that one, I think, the first one he definitely should have done better and made Ortega work a little bit harder, but that second one, I don't think there was anywhere else he could have placed that header, and unfortunately for him, it doesn't go in. Good save from Ortega. But other than, again, in the final third, I think he was definitely their best player, and things were happening because of his movement, because of his energy, and I think he's definitely been misprofiled as a 9. I don't think he is a 9. He's probably a bit more of a wide player, but he could probably definitely play second striker if Chelsea had a better 9. But again, that second striker spot will probably be better suited to Palmer. So who knows what's going to happen with Jackson, but it's going to be interesting to see how his Chelsea career plays out, because he's definitely not a 9. He's not clinical enough to be a 9, but there is a player in there, and they've just got to find out how best to utilise him. And obviously, I touched on him a minute ago, but Ortega, the hero, I think he played very, very well today. And other than that game against Real Madrid in the first leg, where he made some, I think he definitely could have saved that Rodrigo goal. He could have done a lot better. I think he's shone every time he's played for City. He's Mr. FA Cup when it comes to City. He always performs. Plays every FA Cup game and he always performs. And he was very, very good today. And he's also a big reason as to why we're still in the title race. So you've got to give credit where credit's due to Ortega, especially after seeing the things that Zach Steffen was doing in the FA Cup for City. He's definitely the worst backup goalkeeper I've seen in a very long time. He's the first goalkeeper I ever watched pick up a back pass was Steffen, and that was coincidentally against Chelsea in the league a few years back. He conceded a slide tackle against Liverpool in the FA Cup semi-final a few years ago, and yeah, he wasn't great. And Ortega on a free transfer, especially, he's been one of our better signings recently, given value for money and the things they've done on the pitch. You definitely got to give credit where credit's due to Ortega. He's been very good, especially when Edison was injured and playing in the FA Cup. He's very, very good backup goalkeeper, and he's definitely good enough to be a starting goalkeeper somewhere, but at least he's happy with his game time at City, and he doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And KDB, I want to talk about KDB because he was given man of the match yesterday. I don't think he was man of the match. I think it would have been Ortega to get man of the match for me, but De Bruyne, and it was an interesting performance for De Bruyne because he kept trying to make things happen, but they weren't happening. But he just played a bit of a different role. He was constantly chasing the ball, constantly trying to get the ball. He was putting in tackles. I've never seen De Bruyne play with such aggression in a game. He wanted the ball, always wanted the ball. If he lost the ball, he wanted to charge back. He was always in tussles with players like Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher. He was always tussling for the ball, and I think off the ball he played very, very well. He was a workhorse yesterday, and you don't usually say that about De Bruyne off the ball, especially coming into his later years of his career. And I think that was a special performance from him yesterday. A very not typical De Bruyne performance, but yeah, he did play very, very well. That brings me on to the penalty. A lot of people are saying that it should have been a penalty. Obviously, Mark Goldbridge is talking about how it's corruption and it's City and blah, blah, blah. And, how can you compete with us buying the refs? I don't think that's a penalty. I think, I'll stand up because obviously you can't see it. I think that hits him there, like on his ribs. But obviously because he brings his arm closer, it looks like it hit his arm, but it hit him on the side. I think it hit him on the side. Mike Oliver definitely should have given a corner instead of a goal kick, but I don't think that was ever a penalty. I don't think it touches his arm. From the first angle, it does look like it touches his arm, and I can see why people thought at first glance it did touch his arm, but I think it touched his rib cage. But again, let me know down below if you think that was a penalty and if you think City got lucky there. But I personally, and that's not even from a biased point of view, I don't think that one was a penalty. And obviously the man that its arm apparently touched, Grealish, brings me on to him. He was our best player in the first half and the start of the second half. He really wanted to make things happen. He was taking the game to Chelsea. He was creating chances. He was very unlucky to not get a goal or an assist today. Chelsea defended quite well in the box, blocking a lot of crosses and shots. And unfortunately, he had to come off with a knock, but it didn't really matter too much because Doku comes on again for Grealish, like he did against Real Madrid midweek, and he was the best player against Madrid. after he came on. He played very, very well, taking the game at Carvajal and Vasquez. And he does the same again today. Yesterday even, he comes on, he runs at Gusto, tangles up Gusto multiple times. And I thought Gusto had a decent game going forward yesterday. He made questionable defensive choices. But yeah, no, he kept twisting and turning. He made Gusto look silly on multiple occasions. Gusto then comes off for Diassi, and Diassi, it was a long day for him. It was a long day for him when he came on. He didn't know how to deal with Doku. The goal comes from him not closing Doku down. But he doesn't close Doku down, but he doesn't track De Bruyne's run either, so he's just sort of in no man's land. Obviously, Doku plays De Bruyne plays it across, Alvarez hits it against the defender, drops to Nardo. He hits the ball at Cucurella, goes in. City obviously win 1-0. Bernardo redeems himself, and Doku, played very, very well. And also, this is another interesting thing I've been seeing going on Twitter. I saw a tweet, and if I can find it again, I'll put it up on screen. This guy saying, City are on... Do you ever see City players out of breath? Basically insinuating that we're on performance-enhancing drugs. It was said again yesterday. Not yesterday. It was said yesterday, and it was said also midweek that we just ran more than Real Madrid, and it wasn't normal. And I'm just thinking, are we watching the same game? Because there were very much periods of time in that game where Chelsea were the better team, not because they were playing better football, but because we couldn't get near the ball, because our players were leggy, they were tired. Like I said, Walker looked like he was running in quicksand for most of that game. There are periods of times where obviously Rodri looked sluggish. Rodri's looked sluggish on multiple occasions recently, and again, that's not due to him playing bad, but that's because he's so overworked and he needs a rest. There were many times where we just kept losing the ball because our players were tired, taking bad touches, losing concentration. So I don't really see all of this stuff about us cheating and looking like we're playing on drugs. Yes, we played a lot of football, but I think that's starting to take its toll, and I can see it in the performances. So I don't know if people are just watching these games with such bias and such the idea of City are cheating in every aspect that they can't see that we're tired, or they genuinely think that our players were perfectly fine yesterday. Because if that went to extra time, Chelsea would have absolutely ruined us in extra time, and that's why that Bernardo goal was so important. And the way we managed the game after the Bernardo goal was very good, other than obviously that Walker foul on Mudryk at the end, but luckily Mudryk took the worst free kick I think I've ever seen. That leads me on to my final point. It's not been a good season for City. I don't think we've played anywhere near our best, but we're on for a potential double. We got 6-7 games left of the Premier League. If we win all of those, we win the league, and we just got a FA Cup final against either United or Coventry, and win our next 8 games, 8 or 9 games, we win the double, and I think that's doable. Obviously, like I said, our players look tired, so it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult, and we've got to dig deep. We've got to really dig deep for this. But, it will be very, very impressive if we pull this off. Even just winning one trophy, I think, will be impressive, considering the levels we've performed at this season. I don't think we've been great, and it just shows that we've got a knack for winning a trophy, and we can get things done. But, yeah, winning a double would be very, very... very impressive. I think we'd be the first English team to win the double back-to-back. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that's true. Obviously, again, we don't get the back-to-back treble, but you can't win everything, and I'm not too disheartened. Just focusing now on getting this double done, and just at least winning one trophy, I guess, and just so the efforts of our seasons don't go to waste, and we got something to show for it. But again, that's all I've really got to say on the game. Let me know down below what you thought on the game, if you thought Chelsea deserved to have a penalty, who you thought the better side was, and who you think is going to win the FA Cup overall. But yep, I've been Nathan. Again, if you enjoyed the video, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you're new around here. Check out the rest of the videos on the channel, and stay tuned for my next video. But yeah, I've been Nathan, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.
Shut down cases, they belly dots to the can't see faces, chasing the bad guy chase it. You don't wanna be the one like Ace and like GTA trying to turn them out wasted. Aye, tell her bad bitch come break it, body come mad, come shake it, then get back to the basics, bro, don't shut down cases, they belly dots to the